under the daily sessions again today. How's everybody doing? Let me rather start off with that. Anxious? Term is finished. Nothing you can do it now, but buckle down and study hard. I trust everybody as well. Those 4 that's online, you're all good? Yeah, Candice, I can understand. It is a stressful time, and I think I spoke to somebody yesterday as well and said we tend to forget, having been around for so long, it's almost second nature to you. But I think for me, fortunately, I have a son that's a second-year student, and I have a son in grade 11. They are both in exam periods at the moment. So yes, the stress levels in most households are quite high, and people deal with it differently, and that's where the challenge lies. And I think that's the message I wanted to and have portrayed so far to everybody is stay with what works for you. This is not a time for change. It's like playing a sport match. All of a sudden you've had tactics that you followed that got you to a certain point, maybe a final of a tournament, be it Wimbledon or the French Open or a golf tournament or a football tournament, regardless. And then you now decide that in the final you're going to change your game plan. Sometimes it's necessary to change a game plan, but I think the biggest mistake that's often made, and I watched some golf yesterday with the US Open, and one of the things that one of the people who came very close to winning said that the mistake he made was he was trying to do something different today. That's not the time to do something different. That's where you go back to your default settings. What works for you, try that. And if then there's you must always obviously have a plan B, but only if plan A doesn't work. You're not going to start with plan B. You're going to always start with plan A. Right, so that's some advice I can give you at the start. Important about today's session, we did go through the memo of the assignment. I'm very, very close. I'll finish today with all the assignments, and so the results will be available during the week online on Canvas. But there are a few things that I just want to stress again, that was very, very clear to me. I'm going to go to a particular page, and for instance, you have on the screen the pest analysis. This question very clearly says to you, and I want you to read the question at the top, 1.2. List and explain the external environmental factors and forces that can affect the ability of McDonald's to serve its customers most effectively. Submit your answer in a bullet point pest analysis. Apply each factor to the each factor of this pest analysis, by providing an example that's relevant to McDonald's. Now, I have the common mistakes people make is they get the pest right, but they sometimes add the extra L for legal and environment. That's not the question. They sometimes list everything for me, political, economical, social, and they go straight to an example. They don't explain to me what each of it means, because the question clearly says list and explain. I have students who started with all the external environmental factors and didn't even look at what the crux is. It's a pest analysis what you have to do. So the reason why I've used this as an example, and I can probably use another one. Let me go to another one, for instance. Explain the components of the marketing mix. I have students that gave me the 4 Ps. That's it. Then I have students who give me the 4 Ps and they give me an example. The next question, question 1.4, actually expects you, the next question actually expects you to apply it. So in this case, for 12 marks, you've got to give me an example. You've got to explain what is a product, what is price. Thanks for joining, Duncan. Again, the people who I'm not concerned about are the ones who have joined today. I've marked your assignments, and I know that there's no concern. I'm preaching to the converted again, but again, it's for the sake of everybody. It's a recorded session and it's going to be uploaded and everybody can benefit from it. But like anything else in life, the opportunity was provided for today for us to actually have an extra session. This morning, I got emails from students to say, are you going to do revision? Where were you the last 2 weeks? We did revision. Today's a wrap-up session to make sure that your individual personal concerns are addressed, and also just the procedure of how the day will run when you do your exam next Monday. But I will get to that right now. Back to the actual concerns that I have about the interpretation of questions. Explain the components. Now, obviously, to explain a component, you have to name the component. That's why you have the 4 elements there of the marketing mix in yellow and a mark next to each of them. Then you have to explain to me, what is a product? It's a tangible product that the consumer buys. What is price? That's the amount the customer needs to pay in order to enjoy the product. What's place? That's where the product can be purchased from. What's promotion? Methods that's used to make a consumer aware of the products. Now, that's what the explanation requires. And then the example as well. Apply it to McDonald's. Provide an example. So I'm preaching to the converted, but people, it's so important. I cannot overemphasize the importance of reading the question correctly. Take extra time to rather read the question. I promise you, the paper itself is not that difficult that you will have problems with time to complete it. Rather spend time on a question. And again, in the assignment, I saw this too. Students, it's clear that on a question like this, which is 12 marks, 4 components of the mix, 4 explanations, 4 examples, that's 12 marks. I could see that students gave me the bare minimum, and then for the next question, a 2-mark question. They write me 3 paragraphs. So you've also have to contextualize your answers. Read what the question says and provide what the question expects you to offer. And I think that's where a lot of people waste time, because they spend too much time on questions that I won't say it's irrelevant, but in the bigger context, out of 100 marks, 2 is not as much as 12. And the time allocation of the time that you allocate to each question is important. So it is important. I would suggest, as a classic example for you for preparation for your exam, is use the assignment that you did. Use assignment 1 as an example. Go into the assignment and do it again. See how much time you take on a particular question, because that helps you in preparation for your exam. That's general feedback I'm giving regarding guidance to as an attempt to reduce your levels of stress, because we know it is stressful. Any exam is stressful. I could see in the car this morning, my son is writing history today, grade 11 history. I could see, I'm asking him questions and he's not really responding, or there's a delayed response, because in his head he's still playing the facts of the essay question that they're probably going to get, and that's natural. That's what happens. People, again, find your safe place, and that's where you have to go to, and create an environment where you sit down for the exam. Don't rush to the last minute. And what would you have done? And that's always a question I've asked students. If COVID never happened and you were on campus, you were like your matric exams last year, you would you go through a specific routine every day that you wrote in the exam last year. You would have gone through that same routine this year as well. You would have come to campus. You would have been here half an hour early. You would have sat down at your desk. You would take your notepad out. You'll take your pencils and pens out. You'll have your student card that you've taken out. So the invigilator of the exam can walk through classroom, through each of the of each of the desks, and check and see if the students have the students card, so they've identified them as the student that should be there. If you brought a bag with, the bag is usually put at the front of the classroom, so you don't have any access to additional resources. Now, people, how is that different from doing the exam online? It's exactly the same. The only difference is that the lecturer is not in the classroom and you're not in the classroom. You're in front of your PC or your phone or your tablet, whatever device you have chosen to use. And we are invigilating via Teams. So there's no difference. If I see that, what would happen, for instance, and I've had this question now. So what would happen if during the exam I need to go to the bathroom? Well, if you were on campus, you would have raised your hand, and the vigilator would have taken you to the bathroom, wait till you finished, and take you back to the classroom. That's why there's two invigilators for an exam, male and female usually, because we have male and female students. There's nothing different to you writing an exam online. If you want to go to the bathroom, you just get up and you go to the bathroom. I am, however, going to be concerned if it takes you an hour to get back. Not because I think that you're trying to cheat the system, but you're wasting your own time. I will be concerned, obviously, if you haven't returned. But people, can you see what I'm trying to get at with the example? There's no difference of writing a test online on an exam pad or writing it on the screen on a laptop, on an electronic device. Have everybody got, have any of you have specific questions that you want to ask me? I prefer it to be verbally rather than just a chat, if you don't mind. But please, any questions, Duncan, Candice, Sean, Teresa, those students are who have joined me this morning? And any others? Sorry, I have not specifically chosen you. Anele, anybody? Any questions?
Sir?
Yes.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
I
Yes.
wanted to ask, do you have like any particular tips for your in terms of what we need to add and how you expect us to answer and all that?
To me, I think it's important. The first thing I would do when I have an exam, and I think the biggest concern, I went through the paper this morning quickly just to check again online, because we need to add a declaration that you have to just tick as a yes, that you understand and that it is your own work, and that's a normal declaration that you would have signed if you did the exam on campus as well. We're just going to include it now as the first question with no mark value to it, but because it's done online. What I usually did when the test is or the exam was done on campus. I usually take my exam paper. I know it's 100 marks. I go through there's usually a section A and a section B. I look at the different mark allocations. And in your case, you can basically, there's no question per page, so you can actually scroll down. I would just scroll down and see what the mark allocation is. I mean, how many multiple choice questions, for instance? How many true and false questions? What's the question with the biggest mark allocation? 13, 15, 20, whatever. Just to give myself an idea of how I manage my time. That's going to take you a minute to do. Then, obviously, when it comes to multiple choice questions and true and false questions, or match column A with column B type of questions, I would usually, and I have said it before, and I'll repeat myself, Theresa, I would then read the question, I will answer the question, and then I'll look at the options. I know that it's not easy, but to me, that's less confusing. Usually, um, once you read a question and you look at the alternatives, um, it can confuse you. The intention of the examiner is not to confuse you with the way in which the questions or the answers are structured, but it is multiple choice. So some of it, once you read option A and option B, option C, option D, all of a sudden they all appear very similar, and that's where the confusion comes in. So my advice is usually for multiple choice and true or false, read the question, answer the question, and then look at the alternatives. True or false, quite simple. It's either true or it's false. But in true or false, very often read the question once or twice, because sometimes a statement or a definition is given, but a part of the definition is removed or additional part is added, just to not to confuse the student, but to structure the question. And as a result of that, we sometimes miss it. We sometimes read too quickly. We read and see key words, and then we process the answer. True or false, quite simple. It is true or false, but read a true or false question, I would say, at least 3 times carefully before you answer it, because it's enough time. True or false questions are not paragraph questions. True or false questions is usually a 1-sentence statement, and therefore if you read it 3 times, it's probably taken you 30 seconds. If you complete it, you'll probably take you another 10 seconds. In other words, you're probably going to spend 40 seconds on a question if it's multiple choice or true and false. So it's not time consuming. When it comes to essay questions, first thing I do is I look at the top right corner, and also next to the question, there's also an allocation of marks. In other words, if the question is stated, let me try and find one in this assignment. There we go, right at the top. Question 2.1, this is just an example. Regardless of the motivation, there are clear steps that consumers take in their buying decision process. The mark allocation is 5 times 2 plus 2 equals 12. Okay, so the question is list and explain these steps in an illustration. List the steps. There's 5 steps. 5 times 2, so what you're going to list it. Explain, that's an extra mark. And the 2 marks is for the illustration. So when you read the questions, that's short answer questions like this. Important to me is to focus on, and that's the first starting point. I read the question and then I look at the mark allocation. Then I know how much I have to answer. Because as I said, sometimes essay answers is given to a 1-sentence answer for a question that only has a 2-mark allocation. That to me would be exam tips on how to answer questions. And as I said, yeah, it's whatever works for a particular individual, obviously, is what you have to stick to. But for those 3 types of questions, that's usually the way I would approach it, because it's 3 different formats of questions, and they need to be approached differently. Multiple choice, read the question, answer the question in your head from your knowledge, and then look at the options. And if there's a match, then obviously that's the one that is the correct answer, or the most possibly the correct answer. True or false, read the question once or twice, even 3 times, and then answer it true or false. Essay questions, start by looking at the mark allocation to see how much you have to write. So you do not waste time in writing too much if the mark allocation is not very high. That to me is for 3 types of questions, which you're probably going to most likely get, is some tips that I can give you. I hope that was of some help, Theresa and everybody else.
It was. Thank you, sir.
Sure, no problem. Right. Any other specific questions? the important things is we've gone through the curriculum. We've gone through every single chapter. Then we went through revision. There's no difference. I did not condense the chapters when I did the revision. I went through the specific components of importance. So for me, if you have to, in preparation, there's no difference in as I said, in the slides that was used in the revision than the slides that was used in the initial class. So for me, if you have to listen to recordings in preparation for your exam, I would listen to the recordings of the revision that we did. And I think it's marked like that in your on Canvas as well in the revision week sessions. It's marked the videos as Monday 14th of June revision chapter 3 and 4. So look at or listen to the recordings of the revision sessions if you are using recordings as part of your preparation. Any other specific questions related to that's been troubling you? I'm still going to get to the logistical process that will happen next week. Any questions? You all good? As I said, the students I'm least concerned about are the ones who's actually online at the moment. I could see that in your formal test that you wrote. I could see it in your assignment that you did. You understand the process that I've just explained. Don't second guess yourself. You're doing fine and your marks are great as well. The student said, oh, sir, this morning, I think I missed a class test. You know what? If you missed a class test, for instance, all 4 the class tests, or all 3 the class tests that we did, in total, out of your entire semester mark for this module is 0.004%. It's not even 0.5%. Okay, so it's not a real concern. The concern is that the focus should be on this exam, because 60% of your total module semester mark will be from this test. It carries the biggest weight. Okay, so, but I'm not concerned. Out of the 40% that makes up the other makes up the 100% for your total module, 36 out of the 40 comes from your formal test that you wrote, as well as your assignment that you completed. And as I said, neither of any of you currently online should have or have any concerns. I don't know every single individual mark by question by heart, but I can tell you definitely that I remember the ones who've done extremely well. If you got 98%, for instance, for a test or a assignment, I will definitely remember who that was. And if you got very low marks, below 30, I would also remember that. The ones in between, the ones between 65 and 90, to be honest with you, if my life depends on it, I can't recall the exact results. But as I said, none of you should be concerned at all. But just to clarify again, the composition of the mark allocations, so people are not focusing on the wrong things, but focusing on the right things. And that is the exam that's ahead of us on Monday. Okay. Would you like me to now quickly run through what to expect next week and how the process is going to be conducted?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, thanks, Candice. The exam for next week, just to clarify for everybody, as it was posted in the announcement. You're doing all the chapters except chapter 4. Okay. The entire, I think it was chapter 10, all up to chapter 10. Chapter 10, I think, was the last chapter. So all the chapters we did except chapter 4. It's a 3-hour paper, and it's 100 marks. The exam window is from 11 o'clock on Monday till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. However, because we are invigilating via Teams, all students are expected to be online at 10:30. Right? 10:30 next Monday, you're ready and waiting, you're online, and then there will be breakaway groups, smaller groups to assist with the administration. Basically, you need to use a device that has a video function. It could be a phone, it could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, a desktop with a external camera. Whatever device you're going to use, we must be able to see where you are. Girls, don't worry about makeup and stuff like that. The quality of the video is not that great that we are too concerned about it. Thanks, Anelia. Now I see your video works at least. So make sure that the device that you use has that video function. We will do the admin. Bring your student card, show your student card to us. That's part of the check-in system, basically. And then we'll explain how everything works, the two invigilators. And then you will join the main group again. The exam will start at 11 o'clock. The reason for that being is that there are students who, for various reasons, have pre-arranged for extra time. Okay. Usually, remember when you registered with Stadio, you indicated if you had certain learning challenges, if you needed a scribe, whatever your situation is, those students will have extra time. You don't have to be concerned about it. We as invigilators got a list already from admin that indicated to us in each group that we will invigilate to who needs extra time and how much extra time is allocated. The setting for those exams are done accordingly as well. So for a student who have no learning challenges, their time will just lapse after 3 hours. Okay, Canvas won't allow you to continue to do it. The others will continue for the time that they have. The video function from our side will be on the whole time, and you have to keep your video function on as well. In other words, we're going to be watching you basically like I would have watched you if you were on campus in class. If you need to go to the bathroom, exactly the same applies as if you were on campus. Okay, so from our side, the people who are invigilating will be watching their screens the whole time. I will be there the whole time. If there's a particular question, I think individuals might be able to ask questions. I'm not exactly sure. I'll clarify that, but that will be stated in your preparation that half an hour before you start the exam. Anybody?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, you guys said that we should keep our cameras on and our audios on, but then at Stadio, like the Centurion campus, we don't have cameras on the computer. So what's gonna happen?
You don't have that function at the campus in Centurion.
No, so we do have computers, but then it doesn't have cameras and audio mics. They do not go on. They muted all the time.
Okay. Have you previously written your exams on campus there?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Do you have a device that has the video function?
So I have it sometimes.
Okay. My suggestion would be to get in touch with the Centurion campus and make logistical arrangements because, as I said, we obviously have to see what you're doing. So they have to either get you cameras or whatever. But I would suggest that you just bring it to them. I will, in the meantime, also on the side just follow up and see what the procedure would be in a case like that, because obviously yes, we have suggested to our students as well, if they do not have devices with a camera function, that they actually come to campus, so we can actually conduct it from here, because then at least you have your access to your phone as well if there's any problems, like for instance load shedding. But I
Okay,
would
thank you,
suggest,
sir.
please, today still as a priority, so you can tick that box and don't have to worry about it until next week. Get that out of the way. Contact them immediately and said, listen, you have been informed. Stadio has informed you that the invigilation will be done via Teams. What is the situation? You have issues with your video or video accessibility. Would they be able to provide it on campus for you or not? Because yeah, that would be my recommendation, because that's very important. Duncan, yes, your assignment has been graded, but as I said, I'm not releasing any results at the moment for two reasons. A, I've still got about 15 assignments to mark. Right, there was 40 to mark. I've marked 25. I'm going to complete the rest of the 15 today. They will be moderated, and no results will ever be released by Stadio if they have not been moderated. Okay, that's the reason why. But yes, I can confirm that yours have been graded. Yeah, but you won't see the marks. You'll feed in the marks until they're moderated. Any other questions? Anybody in particular?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, morning.
Hope you're well.
Yes.
Quick question regarding our term test paper, the one with 100 marks.
Yes.
How long does it take to come back from moderation? Because, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, sir marked that long time ago. And yeah, it's now, like, when will we get our results back from that or the previous test period? Would it be like before the semester ends or?
Oh yeah, definitely. No. As a matter of fact, the plan is still for it to be released this week. Darko, did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Okay. Sorry. No, as I said, it's I think usually for a term we would have an extra 2 weeks if it was a non-COVID situation. We were very concerned, or not concerned initially at the start. I've been doing this module now for a number of years. I was not sure. Fortunately, with public holidays and stuff, you miss a day here and miss a day there, especially in March. I know March and April is yeah, way too many public holidays for us to actually to plan properly. But I think it was important for us as a priority to get through the curriculum, which I think with everybody's interaction was done sufficiently, as well as the revision. And I think, yeah, we finished our last classes on Friday. So that was, you, in the meantime, there's only so many hours in a day. And I've asked myself the question on the weekend as well. Could I have marked faster? Unfortunately, unfortunately, I have to be honest with you. If I have to give proper feedback and comments, and you have to type it in and on the assignments and stuff like that, and on the test, it takes time. It is time consuming, and I could have probably marked for another hour last night and finished a few more assignments, but I felt it was not going to be fair to the student because I was tired, because I've marked the whole day. Like I did the whole of Saturday, and I want to have a clear mind when I do that. So, yeah, the release of the results is most probably going to be this week. Yes, without a doubt. Any questions, anybody, regarding next Monday's exam? You're all clear. You know what to do. Please don't, if you are at all for some other reason concerned about something um, that um, that troubles you. Drop me a mail. I've replied to 5 emails of students this morning just from this group, um, just before class started. So I know, yes, there will be a lot of that, and that is the best way of communicating with me at present, yes. And my response time will obviously be almost immediate, because we do not have any classes. It's exam time and study time for all our students on both our campuses.
Hi, sir.
Yes, morning.
It's Candace speaking.
Yes.
I looked at my assignments that I did already for business marketing.
Yep.
And one of the assignments on the 11th May,
Yes.
it says me that it's missing, but I already submitted and already did the assignment.
Yeah, don't worry. As I said, there's a duplication of a document there. The one that says it's missing, it's not missing. I know for a fact it's not, because I've marked the assignments. There was a duplication in the columns. It shows that there's more than one assignment one, but there is actually just the one assignment one. It's all of you have submitted now. I'm busy, as I said, with there was in total 40, I think, that was submitted. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other questions, anybody? I know you are very eager to get back to your studies.
Sir Starkwin speaking.
Yes.
Is from Sir's perspective, do Sir think that we all going to like pass, this module with all our tests and assignments we submitted? Like that.
Do you have 6 numbers for the lotto for me? Because I mean, that's a similar question. There's no exact answer to that. I talk about the easiest way, and there's no diplomatic answer to this, but there's an easy answer to this. The easy answer to this is, if every student have done their bit, the things that based, let me put it this way, based on the evidence that you've produced in your assignments and in your formal test, it shouldn't be a problem. None of you should actually have a problem. But I cannot sit the exam for you. I cannot write the exam for you, and that's where the that's the part of the equation that we cannot control. Each individual controls that, him or herself. But to answer your question, based on the evidence that the class and the individuals in the class have produced so far to me, it should not be a challenge. But you still have to put in the work, unfortunately, because the assignment that you have completed and the formal test that you wrote and all the class tests that was done combined is only 40% of your total semester mark. 60% will come from the exam that you're writing next week. So it can be that the student did very well. Let's say, for instance, got 36 out of the 40, which is very high, which is 90% basically. But then have a very, very bad exam. The mark can be affected severely, because it carries 60% towards the final mark. But however, it's based on the evidence of the test or the exam itself that you're going to be writing on Monday. You need to get 50% to pass it. If you do nothing for the rest of this week, you probably still will be able to pass it. But no, I'm not concerned about any specific individual at all. That includes the students who registered late as well. Feel better now, Takwin?
Yes, sir. Everything is clarified. Thank you for that.
Right. Anybody else? Candace, Duncan, Sean, Larissa, anybody else? Any questions that you have? Any final concerns you need clarified? Thanks, Candice. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks, Teresa. Okay, right. I'll finish up. I'll finish up with the following. In summary, focus on the recordings that was done when we did the revision. If you are going to listen to any recordings in preparation, go through your slides. Use the learning outcomes at the start of each slide to indicate to you which are the important concepts in that chapter. Read the questions carefully. Practice where you can by going through the questions that was in the assignment. You have the PDF for that. Look at it. Look at how the questions are structured. And very importantly, look at the mark allocation. Create an environment where you're going to sit to do the test or the exam that you're comfortable with, and then everything should be fine. All good. Well, if nobody has any further questions or any concerns, I'm still available on my email, yakuj@stadio.ac.za. Let me type it for you on the screen. If you have any questions, that's where you can reach me on email. Even if you've gone through a particular chapter and there's one aspect that you're 100% sure, mail me. Don't wait till Tuesday next week, because then it's too late. Then you have already completed the exam. So if you have any questions, please drop me a mail. I will respond to them as quickly as I can, usually within a few hours or so. And it might even be sooner now that we do not have any class commitments or clashes that delays my response. And all I can say is, yeah, good luck. You've got this. Believe in yourselves. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Keep well. And we'll chat to each other again next Monday. I'm going to end this session now, and I'll upload